Welcome to Muscle Research Review for the week of March the 3rd, 2015. Quick research summaries for the very busy health and fitness professional. So let's get started. X-rays are quite common diagnostic tools used to assess the cervical spine. However, do X-rays really have any correlation with symptom presence, type, and severity? A new study looked at 332 patients with radiographs and assessed whether they correlated with such things as visual analog scale, neck stiffness, headaches, shoulder referral, hand radiculopathy, and hand numbness. Results were not surprising. There were no correlation between these findings and degenerative changes on X-rays. The only correlation was age. Previous research has also shown that degenerative changes occur in the 4th and 5th decade and is associated with natural aging. Hopefully more of us change the way we describe a patient's X-rays and their symptoms. If you're doing supine bridging to neutral exercises, this new study provides some interesting insights into the magnitude of core muscle activation of various muscles. The study looked at 3 exercises on stable and 3 on unstable surfaces. You may recall from last week that unstable surfaces increase transverse abdominis and abdominal internal oblique activation. This current study looked at EMG muscle activity of the lumbar multifidus, gluteus medius, gluteus maximus, and the hamstrings. The lumbar multifidus was not influenced by any exercise. The peak gluteus medius activation occurred in unstable single leg bridge. The maximum recruitment of gluteus maximus occurred in stable single leg bridge, and peak hamstring recruitment occurred during double leg hamstring curls. Previous exercise activated hamstrings at levels conducive to strengthening, whereas recruitment of the others promoted endurance training. Clinically, they found that unstable surfaces were not preferable to stable surfaces in boosting muscle recruitment. So far, we've looked at adding unstable stimulus to planks and bridges. There is increased activation of the transverse abdominis and internal oblique muscles. The previous study showed there wasn't much difference for hamstrings, glutes, and lumbar multifidus. However, this new study looked at the effects of plyometric training on stable versus unstable surfaces on athletic performance. The study divided 24 male sub-elite athletes into 2 groups. The group performed 90-minute sessions twice a week for 8 weeks. The study looked at the results for speed, agility, balance, and jump performance. Here's what they found. There was no difference between the 2 groups for speed, agility, and balance. For jump performance, the stable group actually performed better than the unstable group. Results recommended using stable surfaces for plyometric training, especially if your goal is to increase jump performance. Muscle firing patterns can also apply to the deadlift exercise. A new study asked the question, are there any changes in muscle firing patterns of the glute max with increasing weight loads with the deadlift? The study used 12 males with at least 3 years of resistance training experience. They performed deadlifts at submaximal loads of 30, 40, 50, and 75% of 1 rep maximum. They found that increased load had no adverse effect on relative onset time of glute max or the biceps femoris muscle. Be kind of interesting to see how the results compare with someone with low back pain. As you may recall, we went over a study previously that showed the benefits of deadlifts in low back rehabilitation. Definitely something I'd be interested in seeing. I love treating patients by thinking globally rather than locally. A new study looked at the effects of core musculature fatigue on maximal shoulder strength. It was a crossover study involving 15 males and 8 females. The group performed maximal voluntary isometric contractions of the shoulder in the sagittal, frontal, and transverse planes. They found no change in muscle strength in the sagittal plane. However, in the frontal and transverse group, there was a significant reduction in strength. Another interesting finding was that the first and second strength tests showed a reduction in strength, but the third test showed no statistical significance. Now, what does this all mean? For one, core was actually designed for endurance, and this study helps validate the recovery properties. We also see here that decreased core stability has an effect on shoulder strength. Future studies would be great to uncover the significance of these results, in addition to looking at any correlation to injury rates. The use of ice in treating acute inflammation is well known. Previous studies have shown that ice can help decrease pain. However, what effects does it have on decreasing muscle perfusion when blood flow is elevated? This new study looked at the effects of ice after 48 hours post-exercise induced muscle damage. Results weren't much different than previous studies. The cryotherapy group did indeed show decrease in pain scores after 48 hours. However, there was no change in muscle perfusion. This study is one of several studies that are continuing to support the idea that ice may not have the effect that we think it does. However, pain is definitely something that it can help with. If you have any comments, please leave them below. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the latest muscle research reviews. Thanks, and see you next time.